I'm Corey Applin, and this is Compound Action, how small steps create massive change. And, recently I feel like every episode I'm just talking about all the things that can make people sick or kill them. But really, that just shows the importance of proper food, proper nutrition, all these things that we've been talking about. Today, I'm going to be sharing some pretty scary facts about things that most people are consuming every day. As I go into this episode, what I hope to do is help people develop a more skeptical eye to the foods they eat. The question to ask yourself is, why in America are they not required to label potentially harmful ingredients? Why are chemicals allowed in our foods that are banned in other countries due to health concerns? Do major food manufacturing companies really have your best interest at heart? Certainly not. They oftentimes put profit over health. Their job is to get you to eat as much of their product as possible. And because they have their own lobbyists, they fund their own research, oftentimes things are presented as being a healthier option when in fact the opposite's true. And you'll see that's the case with oils. Oils in your food, oils you cook with. The oils you use every day could be contributing to chronic illness and even premature death. And as I sit here looking at the list, really long list of potential health problems caused by consuming the wrong oils, it's a really familiar list because it's the same types of health problems caused by eating ultra processed foods, the same types of health problems caused by eating too much sugar or getting too few nutrients or having problems with the gut microbiome. And it's because all of these things came about just in the past 100 years or so. We see a direct correlation between the rise in processed foods, sugary foods, inflammatory foods, hydrogenated oils, and the rise in chronic illness, leading to the epidemic that we're currently in. But how did we get here? How are the oils that are the worst for your health, the seed oils and the vegetable oils, the ones that are used the most in your food? And I'm talking about oils like corn oil, canola oil, soybean oil, safflower and sunflower oil, grapeseed, rice bran, sesame, and peanut oils. Well, in the 19th century, seed and vegetable oils were primarily for industrial use. They were just waste byproducts and typically used for things like lamp oil or soap production. As the oils became more refined, they entered the food market, primarily to be used during times of food scarcity. And then in the early 20th century, new extraction methods made it economically viable to mass produce. They became cheap and had a long shelf life. That's really attractive for food manufacturers. So then you see a rise in things like margarine, which is made from hydrogenated oils, being marketed as a plant-based, healthier option to butter, and it began to be used pretty regularly in households across the US. Then some early studies showed that there may be some correlation between saturated fats, like what's found in animal fats, and heart disease. The American Heart Association ran with it and started promoting the replacement of animal fats with unsaturated vegetable oils. And we were off to the races. Government guidelines emphasize low fat diets as a heart healthy approach and really spawned the low fat dieting craze of the 1980s and 90s, where vegetable oils got a reputation for being heart healthy. The problem, like most things health related, is the government got it wrong. And new evidence shows that there isn't as strong a correlation between saturated fats and heart disease. In fact, the animal fats contain beneficial nutrients, they improve bone health, they are important in hormone production and cellular health. So, what actually does increase the risk of heart disease? Well, it's the trans fats, the very trans fats that were in the margarine, the vegetable, and seed oils that people were using every day. So basically, the things that people had used for thousands of years, we were suddenly told weren't healthy for us, which turned out not to be true. There was a major overcorrection in the wrong direction to the things that actually aren't healthy for us. And there's been no correction back in the right direction yet. There's been no major government alerts to stop using these oils. Nobody's telling fast food joints to stop frying their foods in them. In fact, many people still view them as a healthier option. But why are these oils so dangerous? Well, they're high in omega-6 fatty acids, which promote inflammation, which is related to heart disease, cancer, and autoimmune problems. The polyunsaturated fats in the oils are highly unstable, making them more prone to create free radicals, which can damage cells, damage DNA, promote oxidative stress, and contribute to premature aging and a lot of other chronic health problems. The trans fats that I mentioned earlier increase LDL, that's the bad cholesterol, while decreasing HDL, the good cholesterol, significantly increasing the risk of cardiovascular disease. They're also potential endocrine disruptors, which can lead to a dominance in estrogen, which can affect reproductive health. And right now, make no mistake about it, we're in a reproductive health crisis. Between 1990 and 2015, infertility rates rose from right around 3.5% to over 16%. And the rates are still rising. Right now, we're at about 17.5% worldwide. That's about 1 in 6 people. And speaking of hormones, the same oils are linked to insulin resistance, which of course is correlated with obesity and diabetes. It's a contributing factor to liver disease, problems with the gut microbiome, and now there's even concern around brain health and conditions like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease. So hopefully I've scared the crap out of you enough to immediately remove these things from your diet. Check every food label to make sure these aren't in the foods you're purchasing. So what should we use? Well, number one would be extra virgin olive oil. It's anti-inflammatory, it's rich in antioxidants. Now, I don't personally cook with olive oil. There's other oils that are much better and safer to cook with, but as a drizzle over salads, those types of things, olive oil is perfect. And I'll mention that right now there's a big problem with counterfeit olive oil, which sounds crazy. It's not something you'd think that people would be faking, but there aren't enough olives in the world to support the amount of olive oil that's sold. So what's happening is some companies are starting to mix it and dilute it with other lower quality oils. There's a great website if you go to aboutoliveoil.org and go to their certified olive oil list. It'll give you a list of brands whose oils are tested and certified to be pure. It's an excellent resource. Definitely check them out. Now, for cooking, there's a few oils that are really good. There's avocado oil, which also has vitamin E and K. There's coconut oil, which is high in medium chain fatty acids, which support metabolism and brain health. And of course, the classics, grass-fed butter or tallow, which contain really a good balance of fatty acids. They have high omega-3s and a lot of good fat-soluble vitamins. There's also ghee, which I can't forget to mention. My wife is Indian and her family uses ghee regularly. Ghee is also called clarified butter. And what they do is they heat it and make the milk solids rise to the top. The milk solids are skimmed off and then it's strained to be sure that all the milk parts are out. It makes it lactose and casein free while still being a good source of fat soluble vitamins. Now, something else that's worth mentioning is a lot of attention is given to smoke point of different oils as being like the best guide for what to use when cooking. The smoke point is the temperature that the oil breaks down and starts to create smoke. But not enough attention is given to things that can make the oil rancid. This is when the fats in the oils break down and become oxidized. This creates more oxidative stress, which contributes to health problems. Typically, you would know that an oil was rancid because it wouldn't smell or taste very good. But when an oil is processed, they often go through a process of deodorization, which can mask any unpleasant smell or taste and make it seem fresh, even if it's not. That's why looking for things like cold pressed or unprocessed on a label are really important. And not buying in bulk, because the longer they sit in your pantry, the more likely they are to go rancid. But what I want to point out here is that even cooking can cause an oil to go rancid, and it can go rancid before it's even reached its smoke point. Olive oil is a good example, which is why I don't use it in cooking. Even avocado oil, which I do use, can go rancid before the smoke temp at really high temperatures, where things like grass-fed butter, ghee, and coconut oil are usually safe and better options. The take-home message here is most foods that need to be highly processed aren't very good for your health and are typically the major contributing factors to chronic illness and premature death. So read your food labels, know what you're buying, know what you're cooking with, and not just feeding yourself, but feeding your family, feeding your kids, because personal accountability is the foundation of personal health. That's it for today's episode. Thank you for joining me, and I'll catch you on the next one.